You know that feeling when you're sitting in a corporate training session and you're just wondering, is any of this actually going to stick? Yeah, you're definitely not alone. Today, we're going to look at a totally new way of thinking about learning at work, one that completely challenges that old broken model. So, let's jump right in.
Okay, so let's start with a term we hear all the time, future-proofing. The whole idea is, right, that we can make our teams and our systems so skilled and so solid that they can handle whatever comes their way. And on the surface, that sounds pretty good. It sounds like the ultimate goal, doesn't it?
But here's a thought that might seem a little backwards. What if the very idea of trying to be future-proof is the thing that's making us weak?
Well, the biggest danger is complacency. As soon as we think we're proofed against what's next, we kind of stop trying. We stop adapting, we get comfortable. And that is exactly when we lose our edge. Our ability to think on our feet and fight smart when those new challenges pop up. And they always do.
So if the goal itself is flawed, what about the methods we've been using? Let's dig into why traditional training just so often misses the mark completely.
I love this quote from strategist Ali Uren. It's blunt for sure, but it really hits the nail on the head. So much of what we call training is really just about programming people to follow a specific set of instructions. It's all about compliance, not about building real, adaptable capability.
And what's the result of that? Well, the numbers are just staggering. Studies show that up to 90% of what people learn in a formal training session is completely forgotten within a single week. Just think about that for a second. That is an unbelievable waste of time, of money, and honestly, of human potential.
And look, this failure isn't some kind of accident. The old system is practically designed this way. It's top-down, completely disconnected from the actual work people do every day. The content is often outdated by the time you see it, and it's treated like this one-and-done event instead of what it should be, a continuous process that's actually tied to what the business needs to achieve.
Okay, so if that's the problem, we have to ask, what's the solution? Well, it's a new model, and it's called the circular workplace. It's a really cool idea that actually borrows its logic from the circular economy. You know how that's all about repurposing waste materials and turning them into something valuable? Well, the circular workplace does the same thing, but with our collective knowledge, our wisdom, and yeah, even our mistakes. It feeds all of that back into the organization to create brand new value.
Now, this isn't a course you take. It's a continuous loop. Learning happens while you're working on real projects. Teams are encouraged to experiment. Then they debrief to really capture what they've learned, what worked, what didn't. And here's the crucial part. That new wisdom is used to redesign how the work actually gets done. The learning gets embedded right into the system.
But for a cycle like this to really get going and keep spinning, it needs a special kind of fuel. And it's not just about skills. It's about building a specific mindset called adversity intelligence.
We talk a lot about being resilient, about the ability to bounce back after a tough time. But adversity intelligence is a huge step beyond that. It's about learning how to bounce forward. It's about seeing a challenge not just as something you have to recover from, but as a real opportunity to learn, to grow, and to create something totally new and better than before.
Now, building this kind of mindset means we have to start questioning some of the most common career advice out there. I mean, we've all heard this one a million times. Focus on your strengths. But what if that's actually holding us back? In fact, some would argue it's the worst advice we can give. Now, of course, using your strengths is important, but the biggest opportunities for massive growth, they're often in the other direction. Real breakthroughs happen when we step out of our comfort zone and actually confront our gaps and our weaknesses. That's where the learning curve is steepest, and that's where real development happens.
So it just makes sense, right? If we're going to completely change how we learn, we also need to change how we measure success. It's time to move way beyond our old traditional metrics.
The big shift here is moving from a focus on return on investment, or ROI, to something way more meaningful, return on skills, or ROS. See, ROI just tracks the superficial stuff, like did people show up? Did they complete the module? ROS measures what actually matters. Are we seeing real changes in behavior, in mindset, and in the tangible value people are creating for the business?
So, return on skills asks the right questions. Are people thinking more critically? Are they acting with more ownership? Are they contributing in new and more valuable ways? It's all about measuring genuine transformation, not just ticking a box on a checklist.
So what's the big takeaway here for you, for any leader? It really all comes down to making a fundamental shift in your mindset.
The goal shouldn't be to build a sustainable organization.
one that's just kind of holding on, trying to maintain the status quo. No, the real goal is to build a durable one. Durability isn't about just surviving, it's about having the built-in capacity to adapt, to evolve, and to actually get stronger under pressure.
And that leaves us with one final, and I think really powerful question to ask ourselves. When you look at your team, at your culture, you have to ask, are we developing our people to truly perform, or are we just training them to comply? Honestly, the answer to that question could change absolutely everything.